Morning, Trainiacs. It is just awful outside. Excellent. Winnipeg, minus 20 Celsius with the wind chill. It's Tuesday. Tuesday has grown to be a day that scares me. Super short but intense bike, super short but intense run. It's a little bit of throw up right there as evidence for just how intense these are. So as we basically sell off and close out all those template training plans that we created with Coach Pat last year, and we are about to launch the Team Trainiac, very common question is, can we send all of these workouts and manage it in Training Peaks? And my response is not what people are expecting. It's basically like, you know what? I'm not a big believer in Training Peaks as the be-all, end-all training software out there. Sure, I use it, but it's not how you think. So today, after I go through this brutal little workout and I show you the brutal run from later today, I will show you why Training Peaks is not the be-all, end-all of training software out there and how I actually use Training Peaks. Alright, Trainiacs, coming to you from the past because I haven't yet done that run workout. How'd it go? Look good? Look intense? I think it was. So with us getting really close to the Team Trainiac website being live, with us doing, well actually this has been going on for about a year and a half, with us getting rid of all of those template training plans, a lot of questions have come up with like, can we upload all of this to Training Peaks? Does this communicate with Training Peaks? How do we get it on Training Peaks? Well, yeah, that's a bit of a thorn in my side because I don't think Training Peaks is the be-all, end-all of training. That basically like, if you want to take training seriously, you better be on Training Peaks. I don't think so. Now, as a broad brushstroke, and I'll get into the specifics in a bit, but where you store your listing of upcoming workouts, it doesn't matter. You can list it like on a piece of paper. It really doesn't matter where it's listed. However, if you want to start analyzing the data, that's where it starts making a bit of difference, and you want to have a piece of software that can analyze the workout data, hence Training Peaks. So I'm a much bigger believer that store and list your workouts wherever you want, but then when you complete the workouts, if you like Training Peaks, then send the data to Training Peaks. However, there are some caveats with that, and I'm going to show you some of them right now. So for starters, Training Peaks really doesn't put any training stress score, which is a lot of what Training Peaks is based off of, on strength workouts. And with so much more science and so many more pro triathletes putting a big level of importance on strength workouts, for it to essentially not be at all included is really like a chink in the armor about showing how dated it is. So looking at this here, you've got all of my workouts, but here on Wednesday last week, I did a kettlebell workout. Go into it, 0 training stress score. And you can input a training stress score, but if you actually look online, there are some forums where some of the programmers from Training Peaks have said, don't even bother putting in a training stress score. That's not what it's about. And it's like, well, how are you supposed to get a broad picture of how your training is going and how much load you're placing on your body if a huge component of your training isn't even included? That's one issue. Next issue, swimming training stress scores are all over the map. So I want to show you these two right here. This last Saturday workout versus yesterday's workout. Last Saturday, a training stress score of 45. There was a ton of fast swimming. There was a ton of fast efforts, but just because of how my watch recognized the swim, my average pace per 100 meters was slower than the workout that I did yesterday, which was a complete recovery workout. So Saturday's swim workout had a training stress score of 45, and yesterday's swim workout had a training stress score of more than 20% higher a training stress score, even though it was a much less intense workout. So when we're placing so much emphasis on training stress score being like the be-all end-all determinant of a huge part of how you look at your training, and it's still not very accurate with strength and now also swim, how much can we rely on it? Next, it doesn't really say how smart your training was. So opening up this file here, this is the long fat bike ride that I did on Sunday. It's got the training stress score, it's got my heart rate, it's got the kilometers, it's got the time, it's got all of that. But what I noticed about an hour into the ride, I started realizing, holy smokes, if I kind of tighten my core a little bit and I bounce less on the saddle, even though I'm basically working the same amount, less power is scooting out the side of my body laterally, and I'm not gonna stress my back a little bit. I'm not gonna do that, and I'm actually going to put more effort downwards into the pedals, which then made me faster at the same efforts. So all of this training stress score, all of the heart rate data, all of the charts, it doesn't show how smart you're training. The next thing that I've got an issue with is that all of these calculations of your fitness, your fatigue, your training stress score, your overall level of form, how prepared you are for a race, it doesn't actually say how your performance is going to go. It gives you a certain guideline, but it's not like we have this peak, and because Training Peaks says, all right, here you go, pal, you are ready to race, boom, next day you put out a personal best. Not the case, and I'm gonna show you an example of that based off of last year compared to this year. So this here is my performance management chart from 2017. What we're looking for is a good build where the chart is generally trending upwards. The pink is my level of fatigue. The yellow is my form. It's a balance of the training load you've placed on your body versus the fatigue and the rest that you've got. And what we see is that basically right up until Kona, I was having a really nice build. Kona came and all of a sudden my training kind of went down the tubes, and I lost fitness and I lost fitness and I lost fitness. And then I go and I race half Ironman Austin, and conceivably you would think, well, Taren, you have just lost all your fitness in the last month, you'd have a bad race. I didn't have a great race. I did a 4:53, but I ended up qualifying for the World Championships in that race. And if you actually look on obstri.com and see how I performed relative to the field in that race, that's the best race I've ever done, even though it's one of the worst builds according to Training Peaks. And then we're gonna look at that based off of this year. Fairly similar sort of graph. We've got a nice build coming into race season. I go and I race half Ironman Coeur d'Alene, do quite well, but then in between Coeur d'Alene and half Ironman Worlds, the chart is kind of flat. But I go in and I go 5 minutes faster than I did in Coeur d'Alene at the World Championships and do a personal best. So all of the data that's going into this still doesn't dictate how your race actually unfolds. And then finally, the last thing is that I challenge you to find a really big focus on recovery. There is none. There basically is none. They're starting to incorporate a little prompt every single day to say, how did you feel this day? But it's not like it guides you with how you should recover immediately after a workout with your nutrition, or how much you should sleep. It gives you no prompts for that. And unless you're doing that on your own, or your coach is extremely proactive, taking 360-degree view of your entire training plan, it's not included. So you could go and be smashing every single one of your workouts, but digging yourself a bigger and bigger hole because there is no retroactive data that puts a really big stress on recovery. Here's what I do look at. So I am a premium subscriber of Training Peaks, largely because I need content for these videos, but I will look at, is my fitness generally trending upwards coming into a season? After that, I want to be fit enough by the time the season starts so that I can race week in, week out, and then it's just a matter of sharpening. So I don't place all this importance on making sure that I am perfectly peaked for every single race. I want to see just a general upward trajectory. Next thing, over here, I want to see how my peak performance numbers are doing. So right now, while we're working on neuromuscular power, outright speed is my 1 minute bike power trending upwards over the last little while. My run speed over the last little while is that trending upwards. But it's really even hard to get that because there are different workouts that have different focuses. So at a time like right now where I'm focused on speed and strength, I'm going to be looking at, are my peak numbers for say like bike power over 1 minute generally trending upwards? Yeah, they are. But later in the season, when we start going more towards aerobic efforts, I'm going to be looking at things like, is my run 5K time going to be trending upwards? Obviously, it's not going to be right now because I haven't been focusing on that. At that time, closer to the season, is my bike 20-minute power increasing? And we saw that it was over the race season. So these are some things that I look at because it indicates the potential of performance. But what do I actually place a big amount of importance on if I'm poo-pooing basically the biggest training software in the world? I'm going to be looking at actual performance data, not charts that tell me what my performance should be, but actually how am I performing? Am I able to run faster or put in more power at the same heart rate? Or at the same paces, am I at a lower heart rate? Am I able to sustain the same paces for a longer period of time? Am I able to put out more power or run faster and have it feel a little bit better? Am I able to breathe through my nose quite easily at really hard efforts? Am I able to continue to put out more intervals at the same speed or with reduced rest? And generally, am I able to complete a harder workout this week and this training block than I did last week and last training block? And what I've done with the Team Trainiac platform is, instead of looking at it, week by week, all right, what's a good workout this week? What's a good workout that week? The entire annual plan, 3,654 workouts, all build off of each other so that it takes you through a typical progression. And then what we do is I start giving you prompts to say, here are the things you should be focused on. Are you making improvements? Are you not making improvements? Do you need to be recovering more or sleeping more? Or are you trying to overreach? All of these things that take it more from these fancy charts and graphs, which are fun to look at and all and make a video about, but practically speaking, they don't necessarily determine how you're going to perform come race day. And I believe that with Team Trainiac that we have a better way of doing that. I'm a big fan of what we've made. I'm a little bit biased, fair enough, but that doesn't mean that it's not good. So if you're even intrigued about the Team Trainiac platform, it's not going to be in competition with Training Peaks. It might be a supplement, an alternative, something to make Training Peaks even a little bit better, something that you can use in conjunction with. That's how I'm going to use it. I'm going to get my training and my workouts from the platform, send it over to Training Peaks, and then do some fun analysis, but know that as a whole, the big picture stuff is taken care of, and that in the workouts, I am paying attention to how I'm actually performing. So if this all interests you, go to triathlontaren.com/team waitlist, and you'll be notified of when it's available. And we're going to have a 14-day free trial, and we're only going to open up 250 spots right at the start. Make sure that the whole platform works really well, and then after we will open up to the general public. So if you want to get one of those 250 spots, and there's already upwards of 1,900 people that are in line for it, get in there soon. All right? Later, Trainiacs.